Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode, Well Up on the Down Lows College Cooking Crash Course. So the goal of this little series that I'm gonna do is to help you all by giving you step-by-step directions on how to make simple dishes that you can duplicate in your own kitchen. So feel free to follow along with me, and then once you're done, make sure to snap a picture of that and then send it in to us. Because if you do that, you are entered into a drawing to win one of 3 Trader Joe's gift cards that you can spend on, whatever kind of grocery things that you want. All of the ingredients that I've bought for these dishes have been purchased at Trader Joe's. So it's super accessible, pretty good prices. I'll make sure to put all the prices for everything I use here in the videos. But yeah, like I said, make sure to take a pic of your finished product and send it in to us, and you'll be entered into a raffle to win one of those 3 gift cards. And so let's get into it. So step number 1, head on over to Trader Joe's and pick up their frozen mac and cheese. Pop this in the microwave for 5 to 6 minutes. Let stand for 1 minute. No, I'm kidding. This isn't it. Our first recipe of the series is going to be an everything but the leftover sheet pan dinner. Like I said, all these ingredients you can find over at Trader Joe's. And those ingredients are 1 to 2 sweet potatoes, 1 package of Trader Joe's Brussels sprouts, a half a Trader Joe's red onion, 1 tablespoon of Trader Joe's olive oil, 2 Trader Joe's large eggs, 1 cup of Trader Joe's Japanese style breadcrumbs. Couldn't find those as well, so I got their regular breadcrumbs. 1 package of Trader Joe's turkey cutlets. Next we have 2 baking sheets. If you really had to, I think you could fit this all into 1 baking sheet. 4 teaspoons of Trader Joe's everything but the leftover seasoning. And I'll be honest, I kind of messed up on this one. It says on the recipe that particular seasoning is seasonal. I didn't notice the seasonal part. And then I realized, oh no, I have some at home. But it turns out I have everything but the bagel sesame seasoning blend, which would probably taste really bad on turkey, so that's not gonna happen. So I Googled what actually is in it. And so a good substitute that I found is just to put in a little bit of garlic powder, turmeric, thyme, salt, pepper, and then I might try a little bit of this 21 Seasoning Salute seasoning. I don't know what it's intended for, but well, maybe I won't. A lot of this stuff is just seasoned to taste. And then the utensils you'll need include a cutting board, tongs, a knife, fork, and a couple mixing bowls. They don't need to be as big as these 2, but these are what I had. So now that we have all of the ingredients together, our first step is going to be to preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Once that's done, we're going to get started prepping all of our vegetables. Start with the Brussels sprouts. I don't usually cut sitting down, but we'll see how that goes. So these don't say if they're pre-washed or anything. Still think it's a good idea to go and give them a quick rinse. So I'll be right back. All right. Once that's done, I'm just gonna start cutting them. So I think having them is fine. That's how it is in the picture, so I'm gonna go with that. So once these are cut up, we're gonna move on to our sweet potatoes. So the recipe calls for 2 sweet potatoes, but since it's just me, and if it's just you at home as well, I think 1 sweet potato should be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and wash this. And all you want to do with this sweet potato is just kind of cube it, reasonably sized cubes. We want to make sure that when they are cooking, they cook all the way through. So no need to make them, microscopic, but also, no need to make them, massive. I don't think I'm doing this right. Okay, like I said, I am not a professional, so I'm just gonna do whatever gets them into the shape that I want them in. Oh, and also I got this recipe off of TraderJoe's.com. They have a huge selection of recipes on there if you're ever interested or just looking for something new to cook. That looks alright. And then I'm just judging this for myself. This looks like enough sweet potato for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and save the rest of the sweet potato for another time. And we're just gonna add this sweet potato to our bowl of veg. They're all gonna be mixed together in the end anyways, so I don't think it matters if they cross-contaminate. So our next ingredient is the red onion. I'm probably gonna stand up for this one because I don't want my face so close to an onion when I'm cutting it. Wish me luck. I do know when you cut an onion, you're supposed to take off the ends and then cut it in half. And the recipe calls for, you know, half a red onion, so I'm just gonna use half of this. And then you're supposed to peel it. So you're not actually gonna dice the onion. The recipe just calls for cut into chunks. So, I mean, in the picture, they're just like the, it's just like the strips of the onions. So I think I'll just do something similar to that. And that's enough onion for me. I'll save that for something later on. All right, moving on. So once you have all of your stuff kind of cut up the way you like it, we're gonna go ahead and season the veg. So you take your big bowl, you know, as big as a bowl as you have, doesn't need to be massive, and then take about a tablespoon of oil, pour that into the bowl, just enough oil to, you know, coat whatever vegetable you're working with. Pour all that in there, give it a nice mix, I guess, until everything is coated reasonably well. My hands are really oily, so I'm gonna wash them. Hold on. Now, once these are all oiled up and everything, we're gonna add our seasoning. Now, like I explained earlier, could not find the everything but the leftover seasoning, so we're kind of making our own version of that. I don't really know how it's gonna come out, but we'll find out. So the actual recipe says to use about 4 teaspoons of the seasoning, plus a little bit of salt and pepper. So I'll go ahead and do salt and pepper first. I'm using pink salt because it's the only salt that I had. A little bit of pepper. I'll put in a bit of garlic powder because honestly, I don't think you can have too much garlic powder. And then the turmeric. That's probably a good amount. Again, a lot of this is kind of to taste. It's too much time. And then here's the 21 seasoning salute that I found. So I have no idea what flavor profile this has, but it's nice. I'll put a little bit in there. Like I said, I don't really know too much about it. I don't want to overdo it if it's bad. And then once that is all seasoned up, you can go ahead and mix that again. So once this is done, we're going to go ahead and put it onto our sheet pan. And the recipe tells you to put it in on the lower rack of the oven for 5 minutes while you prep the turkey cutlets. So keep that in mind once you start the turkey, that you'll put the vegetables in and then around 5 minutes later is when you want to have in the turkey. All right, so I have my baking sheet here. I'm gonna go ahead and put my vegetables on that. Just evenly dispersed. We wanna make sure that they're not too crowded. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. Like I said, we want these in about 5 minutes prior to when we put the turkey in. So that way, when we put the turkey in, everything kind of comes out around the same time. Alrighty, so moving on to the turkey cutlets. The recipe says first to mix 1 cup of breadcrumbs with our seasoning. So I'll get a small bowl to mix them with. So let me take breadcrumbs. I just realized this is if you're doing all 4 or 5 of the cutlets, which I'm not doing. So probably about half a cup of breadcrumbs will be fine because I'm only gonna do about 2 cutlets. Next we'll do our seasoning, pepper, salt, garlic powder, thyme, some turmeric, and then the experimental 21 seasoning salute. Take our fork or a whisk if you have one, mix everything around nicely. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna take another bowl and we're going to put our eggs in there, crack them, whisk them up a little bit, beat them, and then we'll go from there. I kind of realized people probably don't have an endless supply of bowls, so I'm actually gonna use a Tupperware. I actually think this will work a little bit better because it's flat, and I'm gonna be dipping the turkey breast cutlets in there. So we'll take our egg, and then just whisk these eggs up. Or not whisk, beat. I don't really know if there's a difference, to be honest. Our next step is going to be opening up our cutlets. I think it's probably a good idea to wash any meat you cook with before doing anything with it. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the 2 cutlets that I'm going to use, make sure they're nice and washed, and then I'll come back. So once you have these washed, the next step is to make sure they're pat dry before you do anything with them. Otherwise, the water kind of messes up, how much things stick. So we have the egg wash, we have the seasoning and breading, and then we have a Pyrex dish that I'm going to use to put the actual cutlets in. So one thing you're supposed to do is you're supposed to oil the sides and bottom of your baking dish. Works well to just put a little bit of oil in there and then rub it around. So let's do this. So pat dry this side, make sure the other side is dry. Then we're gonna go egg wash, making sure it's nice and coated in egg. Then from there, we're gonna go to, it's gonna make a mess, so be aware. I'm gonna go into the breading, and we're gonna go into our dish, just like that. I'm gonna go pat dry a little bit, making sure both sides are dry enough. We're gonna go into the egg wash like before, and then we're gonna go into the crumbs. Get these fools all crummy, making sure they're nice and coated, and then into the dish. And our last one, we're gonna go into the egg wash again, then into the crumbs, looking beautiful, and then into the dish. So now that my fingers are covered in crumbs and all of our cutlets are into our dish, we can go ahead and pop them in the oven. So the vegetables have been in the oven now for about 5 minutes. So this is a great spot to put these in. We'll put these on the top rack instead. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in, and I'll come back and tell you about how much longer. So the recipe calls for these to be in the oven for about 18 to 20 minutes. So I think I'll probably do 20 minutes just to be safe. Yeah, so like I said, 18 to 20 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That should cook everything pretty well. So while those are cooking and I'm looking at the mess I'm gonna have to clean up, if you have been following along, that's super fantastic. Make sure to take a picture of your finished product and send it into the link that we'll provide. And then you'll be entered into that drawing to win one of those gift cards for Trader Joe's. I hope you've been able to follow along. Yeah, I'll check in with you when everything's out of the oven. So it's been about 25 minutes. I think it came out really, really well. So here it is right here. I decided to take the vegetables out a little bit earlier. My goal was to kind of make my breaded turkey be a little bit more crispy. Yeah, so I think we should dig in, see how this is. So I think I'll start with a little bit of the turkey. That's really, really good. I really like that. Moving on to the Brussels sprouts. Just the way I like them. I like mine not like crunchy or like underdone. I think these are perfect. Same with the sweet potato, perfect. And the seasoning on all of this, I think, came out really, really well. And the onion too, perfect. I think it like really came together. I think this is a really good dish. I think all in all, prep time was probably about 10 minutes for me with about 25 minutes to cook time. So like really didn't take too long at all when you think about it. And I'll have some leftovers for later on too. So really happy with how this turned out. So there you have it, everyone. That's our first episode of Well Up on the Down Low College Cooking Crash Course. Once again, don't forget, take a picture if you followed along, submit it via the link that we'll put below, and you can be entered to win a Trader Joe's gift card. So yeah, be on the lookout these next couple weeks for another episode, and I really hope you've enjoyed the video. Meanwhile, I'm gonna dig in.